If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my.
I done been around the world. Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Player Performance on this Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. A gigantic Tuesday it is. I was saying it before, I'll say it now. The future of NBA basketball at the highest level starts tonight. Edwards 23, SGA 26. We are glad to be here. A fire conversation is coming. Luke, we're back. What's going on, brother?
We're back. I'm bouncing, if you can't tell. Bouncing with energy. It's the Western Conference Finals. I'm caffeinated. Got my cold brew, multiple cold brews in already today. I'm ready to roll. And, it's great to be back live with you guys. So excited to break it down. Haven't been the hottest I've been in 2025, but that's okay. We've got baseball, finally enough data to just run with this. And it is the NBA at its best level tonight. The young guys, it's the young guns. I mean, Ant versus SGA. This is gonna be the lights out series. I'm so jacked up. Let's break it down.
Yeah, truly. I can't remember the last time we saw a series like this where the old guard was out the door and the new guard entered so rapidly where you're not seeing an older player competing against a younger player. I'm so fascinated by this series. The last time Oklahoma City hosted a Western Conference Finals game, May 18th, 2016, Klay Thompson, 41 points. Going away, Durant's last home game with the Thunder. SGA's first game in the Western Conference Finals. NBA Player Performance starts now.
I live the bright lights, the type, the crowd lights. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they want a penny, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Tuesdays trend upward. A massive Tuesday it is. 8:30, 8:40, Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. Game 1, Western Conference Finals. Timberwolves, Thunder. Thunder hovering around 7, 7.5, 6.5 in the market now. Total steaming up with significance. Opened very low, 214.5, 217.5 now. We got sides, we got conversation, we got props. Luke, open us up with a prop, and we'll get it rolling.
Yeah, let's get it started. You said it's not the old versus the new now, and it got me thinking. Even the Eastern Conference, it's all really new guys. Yes, Brunson did it on the Mavs, but he's not an older guy by any means. It just feels like the new guard of the NBA across the board here this year. It's wild. It's exciting. Let's kick it off with a prop. I got 2 official free plays. Of course, we can go as deep in this game as we want to. It's one game. It dominates the card tonight. Where I'm going with my first play is Donte DiVincenzo. The guy has not had a great postseason. The Lakers series to kick off the playoffs, I was just telling Shark, it was his worst series as a player. Like on any team, on the Bucks, he'd never had a series this bad, in my opinion, as the Lakers. Came a little bit back to form at the end of last series against the Warriors, but he's a great buy low here. Just a super good buy low against this Thunder versus this Thunder athleticism. I think they need DiVincenzo on the floor to kind of be that athletic, versatile guy. He can play defense. He can get up and down the court. He averages 18 PRA on the season per game. So where I'm looking at is his combo stat line tonight. It's points, rebounds, assists, sitting at 15.5 as of this morning. I love the over in a game that could be very physical. Some things could trend under. I like DiVincenzo to get a lot of playing time tonight. And the key here, he's got to make a couple 3-pointers to go over. The last 2 games against the Warriors, he made 2 in each game. He's starting to get his shot back after shooting abysmal in the Lakers series. I think he's going to be more aggressive tonight. He's coming off his playoff high, 13 points against the Warriors. Just a lot of reason I like DiVincenzo. I think he could get over this in points alone. Let's take his stat line across the board. I'm going over 15.5 PRA for DiVincenzo, first official free play, and we've been missing it. Book it.
We certainly have been missing it. It feels great to be back with you guys. And as I said, fire up the chat. We got one game. So all these shows now, all the way through the finals, are going to be deep conversation. We love to bring it very, very dissimilar, I would say, from our regular season shows, which are rapid pace, 10 to 12 games. But let's talk about it. And Luke's discussing Dante DiVincenzo. I think key point, Luke, I don't know if you mentioned it. I was looking at so much data in the last 30 seconds here, but he only played once this year against the Thunder. It was actually the first game between these teams back on New Year's Eve of all games. He only scored 10 points. And if you actually start to look at the data in terms of what happened in the next three matchups, February 13th, 23rd, and 24th, DiVincenzo and Randle did not play in any of those games. So we have some interesting data here, and we have players for the Wolves very inflated in terms of their points per game against the Thunder due to the continued absence of Randle and DiVincenzo. Naz Reed is averaging 22.5 points per game this year against the Thunder. More ridiculously, Jaden McDaniels is averaging 18 points per game against the Thunder in 4 matchups this year. And at the highest level of ridiculousness, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, our guy. I mean, that's why he's our guy, clearly, because he shows up against the Thunder. He's averaging 15.3 points per game over 4 matchups against OKC this year. And now you look at the numbers. All of those numbers are coming down. McDaniels only graded at 14, Naz Reed at 11, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 5.5. So what the books are telling you here is this is going to be a superstar game. And we open this by saying this is a superstar series. I honestly think this is the biggest game 1 of the Western Conference Finals since the last time the Thunder were in this series. And I want to go back to that. In 2016, a young Warriors group was a 2-time champion, and Kevin Durant was trying to get over the hump. They had a 3-2 lead. They were home in Game 6 on a Saturday night. The Warriors got them, and then Durant left. All chaos ensued, and the Thunder got disrupted. That all being said, here we are 9 years later, and it's a totally different group, a better constructed group. And this is where it's going to be Titan 1, Titan 2 in this series, Edwards and SGA. And I really think it's going to lean towards superstar scoring in this series. Look, I have a couple more plays. We're going to just keep flowing through it. On that, do you see that developing tonight? Edwards going off, shooting a ton from the field, and SGA leading the way 35+.
I could see that happening. It feels like maybe a slight letdown spot for OKC. So I don't know if the public is feeling that as well. But as we've talked on this show, 7-game series this deep in the playoffs, it does matter. Like, it does take a toll on a team, whether it's physical or not, which it certainly was in that Nuggets series. It was absolutely a mental battle, all 7 games for OKC. I was glad to see them come out and just dominate Game 7 like we kind of anticipated. But I don't know how they're going to come out tonight. You have to assume SGA will shoot a lot. But I don't know that he's going to be the most efficient. I certainly think Anthony Edwards is going to show up and show out. No doubt there. One spot I'm also looking to take advantage of in the rebounding category is Chet Holmgren. I love his line tonight. You can still get it, it looks like, at 8.5 on some books. I think he goes over this line for a couple reasons. The first is I think OKC does play good defense tonight. Minnesota likely is not going to have that Game 1 shooting performance that they did against the Lakers, if you remember round 1, where they just came out and shot lights out. I do not think that happens tonight. So I think there's tons of rebounding potential just up front in this game. Second, you take a step deeper. Chet only averaged 8 per game on the season, so the line looks sharp, slightly favoring an over, but I love the over even more. Last series, Chet finally established himself in the paint, as we've all kind of been waiting for. And he put up 10.9 rebounds per game. His totals in the Nuggets series, he posted 11, 11, 11, 13, and 16. I mean, he literally doubled this line at one point. And the last reason I like this, before I kind of let you pick this up, Shark, is the fact that the kind of this playing style here. There's Rudy Gobert on the other side. We know Isaiah Hartenstein's going to match up against Gobert, similar to the way he did against Jokic in the previous series. That leaves Chet with kind of a good mismatch in terms of length on Julius Randle and just the ability to focus on grabbing the rebounds while Hartenstein's boxing out. I think that's actually a very similar style that we're going to see in this series. So I think Chet has a nice mismatch. He will be on Gobert from time to time when they sub, but he has such a good advantage in length, and he showed that he's not afraid to be in the paint. That's Chet Holmgren, second official free play, over 8.5. Book it.
Yeah, I mean, you're making a lot of great points here. And I think, you're talking about Rudy Gobert and you're talking about the previous series. Let's talk about Julius Randle for a second. Julius Randle against the Warriors looked like a totally different player. I mean, truly, this guy, if you guys recall, I believe his rookie year, he was with the Lakers under Kobe Bryant. And he actually has had a lot of comments off the record about his career arc and like what influenced him. Of course, Kobe Bryant influenced him. But to get that your rookie year in LA, talk about a leader, a mentor. It's taken him a long time. We've talked about this when he was with New York. He had trouble playing at Madison Square Garden. He actually had like a psychotherapist on the sideline, like trying to calm his mind. But the key point is that signifies one thing, actually two. He's a thinking person and he's passionate. And when channeled directly and getting it right, that type of player can explode. But I think the previous series was more of a snapshot of the Warriors. I mean, we've detailed this not only on this show, talking about the Dubs winning titles a decade ago, but we talked about it all year. The Dubs don't really have any legit bigs. I mean, Draymond Green is 6'6", 6'7". I mean, he's one of the shortest power forwards in league history. You get Kevon Looney. He doesn't ever come to the perimeter. And Julius Randle just kind of sat there and cooked these shorter perimeter defenders for the Warriors. It's not going to happen here against OKC. OKC is elite defensively. They have more length, which leads me back to Anthony Edwards. And my top free play for this card is Anthony Edwards points over 25.5. And again, for me, it goes to the Alpha Dog 1 versus Alpha Dog 2 game. I was looking up Edwards earlier. He was born August 5th. What does that mean? He's a Leo. Leos, they're Lions. They lead. Look at this kid. He talks more trash than Gary Payton and Michael Jordan in the 90s. He's totally throwback. He has that level in him. If he wants it more, he will just turn up and score on you. And you guys have seen this all year. If he wants to drop 40, he can. If he's disinterested, he can look like he's useless. And I think he's going to be completely focused in tonight. I also just love a buy low in this spot based on the data within this season. Edwards only averaged 22.3 points per game in 4 matchups this year against the Thunder. Key point on the games in Oklahoma City. He played very lackadaisically the first matchup of the year. Key point, though, it was New Year's Eve. I mean, I don't know what Ant was doing on New Year's Eve, catching a charter to New York, LA, maybe back to Minnesota. He wasn't playing ball in OKC, I'll tell you that. Horrible effort. He only attempted 12 shots from the field in 39 minutes. That speaks to a lack of interest. And the other time he played, if you guys remember, the Thunder and the Wolves played a back-to-back. Night 1 in Minnesota, night 2 OKC, February 23rd and 24th. Second night of the back-to-back, he didn't have a lot of energy. 5 for 15 from the field, only 17 points. Point is, the line is coming up. It speaks to this entire dynamic. And I just think in this series, you're going to see a physical series where truly it's where these top-level players excel. We talk about this in the regular season all the time. Move the ball, get the other guys involved. Well, when it gets physical, like it could in this series, the only guys that are going to be able to get to the hoop and score the ball are the absolute best players. And if you look at all these dynamics, I think it really leans towards Edwards showing up big tonight, over 25.5, my top free play on the card. Luke, let's go back to what you were talking about in terms of the actual psychology of the series. I think it's very interesting. The Wolves have been off for almost a week, and the Thunder come off of 7 games right back on court here, 48 hours removed or less from really leaving the Denver series. You said before it could be flat. Just elaborate.
Yeah, and I think it could almost just be a flat start for everybody because of that. Yeah. You can say the rest is great, 7 days off or whatever it was, but there is a little bit of rust almost, especially on the road in a new gym. I like the energy. What I'm saying is the energy can be there. I think the Wolves will come in energetic, no doubt, but that doesn't mean you're going to knock down threes efficiently from the field against OKC, number 1 rated 3-point defense. I think that could lead itself to a little bit of a sluggish start with the Thunder not necessarily pushing, transition out the gates. So I don't know your take on this, Shark. I haven't seen the number because I don't do spreads on this show particularly, but I would like a first quarter under, if I'm being honest. I think that would be a lean that I have just on the take of the gameplay. And another spot, I'm just going to switch this because I brought up 3-point shooting. One guy that I do like to actually hit a couple threes tonight that didn't in Game 7 is Lou Dort. He actually didn't play a lot in game 7, didn't play super well, but he averaged 2.1 threes made in that series on 7.4 attempts per game. When teams are trying to shut down SGA and Jalen Williams, they leave Dort open. He's going to probably shoot 6 to 8 threes tonight. So I like Dort's line, just as an FYI. Maybe we'll throw this in our parlay if we do one, of over 1.5 threes for Lou Dort. So just going there. But what do you think about a Q1 under, just in terms of my take? I don't know if that's sharp or not.
Honestly, I think the game is an under just overall. When you look at the games that were played in the regular season, the last two finished 130 to 123, or 131, 128 in overtime. But that was 242 in regulation. So this line is coming way down. Both those games were graded at 225.5. This opened at 214.5. I'm still trying to figure out why the market's steaming up this total 3 points. It doesn't make any sense to me. The only thing that I can come up with is the fact that people really think OKC is going to be fatigued here, and therefore there's going to be a lack of defense. And to a certain degree, you saw that in the last series in the first game against Denver, 121 to 119. Nobody had that game hitting 240. And basically what happened was OKC, it was kind of the polar opposite, actually. They swept Memphis, had time off, and came out flat. But now, again, off a 7-game series, are they going to be engaged here? And I was trying to figure out the psychology of this. Of course, there is physical fatigue and there is emotional fatigue. I think it leans more towards emotional fatigue. If you really look at what happened over 7 games, it's not about the Game 7 blowout. It's about the fact that they actually had to look at Denver in the eyes for 48 minutes, 7 consecutive professional basketball games. These are the champions from 2 years ago. They have a top 1 or 2 or 3 player in the league, Nikola Jokic. The point is, that is not just a random win in the playoffs. They had to commit a ton of time and energy to that. So you come off of that, it's not so much that they can't play ball or that it's even a back-to-back. It's just the fact that they had to exert so much emotion to get through just the tedious nature of playing the same damn team 7 straight times. So you finally get through it. I mean, honestly, it's almost like you need a little vacation. And then you're like, all right, we're good. We're over Denver. Now we can move on. No, they're throwing you right back on the court. And Minnesota's been waiting around 5 full nights of rest, actually, not a week, but still 5 full nights. One thing I know, I don't dislike the first quarter undertake from the standpoint of Minnesota maybe being cold from the field. But I do know this. Minnesota's going to have way more legs tonight. And I do think that leans towards Minnesota in the game as well. We got more stuff to break down here. Look, I mean, obviously you don't cap the game, but maybe secretly you do cap the game. What do you think? ATS lean to the dog or the favorite?
Yeah, I always like to try and break it down a little bit. It's hard not to lean Minnesota here, just because of the fresh legs and the fact that Ant is a dog. I mean, they're going to be hungry, no doubt. And one thing I like to look at here is game ones for Minnesota. They're 1-1, so that doesn't give me a strong lean here. They dominated game 1 in LA. They did lose game 1 against Golden State at home, and they only put up 88 points. Really, what I'm taking away there is I feel like it's a low-scoring game. The more I look at this, I like the under with you. I really do. I don't see this flying over. I don't care about the market steam. I feel like the under is the play here if I had to take anything. And ATS, give me the points. It's a game where the Wolves could win outright. They really could. It's not a stretch to say that. Do I think they win the series? Not necessarily. OKC's a phenomenal team, but it feels like a game 1. Minnesota and under are my 2 leans. I don't know if you align with that. You got the Wolves hat on, Shark. Does that mean they win?
Yeah, I have a VIP side in this. You guys got to subscribe for all that, but I'll tell you some information. And for those of you guys that are watching the shows in the playoffs, we're going to give you a lot of plays and angles because there's one game. I mean, we wouldn't even have a show if we were going to try to withhold takes here. So that all being said, you're looking at the buy hat, gentlemen, and that's a free play for you guys who watch the show. And we'll give it to you guys there. But we're at 8.5. And it's far more than everything we just said, which is all completely accurate. The data here is incredible for Minnesota. Let me just read it off to you guys. Minnesota is 4-1 straight up, and 3-2 ATS in the road these playoffs. That's fine. Just leave that what it is. Go back within this window with Edwards. This is their third or fourth year in the playoffs. Minnesota is 10-4 ATS road in the playoffs since Game 5, Round 1 in 2023. You realize how hard that is to do? To go 10-4 ATS road playoffs? It's borderline impossible. This team plays great on the road. They're also great road Game 1. You saw them do it to the Lakers. They blew out the Lakers. It wasn't just that. They're actually 3-1 straight up and ATS Game 1 of a playoff series if played on the road in the Edwards era. You even go back to the first year Edwards was in the playoffs. You guys may or may not remember this. Shout out to all our Memphis fans who have been to hell and back with the fall of grace of the Grizzlies. But you go back a few seasons, Memphis was supposed to be the team that was going to elevate and really take over the West. Of course, it hasn't happened, but Minnesota did play Round 1 3 years ago at Memphis. Memphis was a heavy favorite, and a young Edwards, I believe under 21 years old at the time, had the Wolves outright win Game 1. Did eventually lose the series, but still. And if you guys remember last year, outright win Game 1 at Denver in Round 2. This team plays great on the road in Game 1. And as we said, I think OKC is just going to be in a really flat spot here tonight. I honestly don't necessarily see them losing. I think they might find something, but I think 8.5, 7.5 is far too much. Still more on this, but I mean, look, we're glad we confirmed that one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I didn't dig into all of their Game 1 success. It's pretty impressive if you actually think about it. Like Game 1 on the road is supposed to be your worst spot, like, right? I mean, you're supposed to get kind of your jaw punched in a little bit in Game 1, and then you respond and maybe steal one before you head home. So like that's actually even more impressive, which makes you feel a little bit more comfortable with the points. It really does. I agree with your lean here. It's hard not to. And last time Shark wore this outfit, guys, he was not only right, we were right on almost everything in the game. Let's do it again. Let's clean sweep this board for Game 1. I'd love nothing more than to see a nice sweep here.
Yeah, and just a final point on the ATS environment here. Just as much as the Wolves have been great road against the spread in this era with Edwards leading, I just want to say that psychologically that fits everything we've said about this guy. He wants to be shaded by the fans. He wants hostility in his face. He loves to just walk into, the lair of the opponent and just take that anger and just throw it right back at them. And I think the team really functions in that mentality. But talk about OKC here for a second. In this smaller window where the Thunder have really had this, just exponential growth. You got to remember the Thunder weren't even in the playoffs 2 years ago. I mean, you talk about like an absolute.
That's crazy. That's literally, people wouldn't believe that if they just watched him,
Last year, I actually said on a different show that I thought the Thunder would win the championship last year or this year. And people thought I was literally insane. And what I was saying is that they were on an exponential curve. And what people may or may not know about an exponential curve, it means there's an acceleration of the slope of a graph. So it basically means that it takes forever to do nothing, and then it takes no time to do everything. And that's what happened actually with the Warriors. If you go back to the early Warriors with Steph Curry, they basically went from nowhere to everywhere like that. And that's exactly the arc of the Thunder. No playoffs, 1 seed, best record in the league, 1 seed, best point per game differential in NBA history. Look up exponential curve, guys. That is your current 25 Oklahoma City Thunder. That being said, they haven't played well in their home gym against the spread. And again, I think that's symptomatic to just getting huge lines where ultimately when you get deep in the playoffs, you're playing good teams. Like you're not supposed to be covering like double-digit lines in the Western Conference Finals. And OKC is actually only 3-4 ATS last 7 at home in the playoffs, if not round 1. They should be better than that. Like you look historically at great teams. You look at Celtics generations, you look at LeBron Heat, you look at Jordan Bulls, Kobe Lakers, Duncan Spurs. They were very good at home in the playoffs. OKC has not been, but I would suppose, just based on this conversation, they might not have been laying like 8, 9, or 10 points every game. And I think that's what it is. I think OKC is going to win this series. I really do. And one of my guys in the chat was saying, stop hating on the Thunder. Guys, we're not hating on the Thunder. We're analyzing game 1 of a 7-game series. I think OKC wins the series. I really do. Because of this exponential idea, I think they win the championship. But that being said, not game 1, not off a 7-game series, not with the opponent functioning great on the road and great road game 1 against the spread. A lot of moving parts, and we got best bets. Tuesday's trend upward, a great track, a great conversation. Everybody in the chat, keep dropping your plays. We're about to build out a parlay, which will be more discussion of some of the deeper angles in this game. But the primary angles, Luke, best bet.
Best bet. Gotta love it. I'm just want a quick hint at what you just said. I agree. I think the Thunder are the best team, easily the best team in the remaining 4. Oh, wow. We're switching to NHL, Burnsy. Wow. Burnsy putting us on an NHL platform. You can't make it up. That's one thing I do not know a lot about is NHL. Other than I have the Stars winning it this year, just saying it's going well so far. Bet on Dallas is my personal take. Just do that with pizza money. Anyways, best bet. I love the Thunder. They're easily the best remaining team in my opinion. If they face either of the teams from the East in the finals, I think it's a pretty easy wash. So we'll see how that trends out. But best bet of the show, I got to go with my boy Chet Holmgren. I really, really like his rebounding total tonight. If you think he's going to have a decent shooting game, you can take points and rebounds. I love that value as well. But I'm going just simply rebounds. I posted it early this morning, 7 a.m. at a line at 8.5. Last I checked, FanDuel was still 8.5, but most other books were already up to 9.5. Either way, I think Chet goes for 10 plus tonight. It's Chet Holmgren over 8.5 boards. Book it.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I didn't look at that, but I think it's a really sharp take. I'm giving you guys 2. I was going to give you 1, but 2. We're feeling great on this Tuesday. Ant Edwards over 25.5 points. Timberwolves plus 8.5. And I gave this out like 11 a.m. this morning. It's 7.5 now. Shouldn't be a problem. We see the game to be inside of 5 points. Let's dominate. And let's get into a parlay, Luke. Let's go as many legs as we possibly can. You know, honestly, I was going through some of the records. You and I were talking about this off the record. We were saying, first of all, we've been close almost every single time we do this. Second of all, if people bet all the sides of the parlays separately, it would have been, I mean, probably like 200 units. Yeah. 200 plays probably, but that you'd be up like 50 units straight up. So guys, take notes of these parlays. It's not only our top analysis, but it's really an access point to Luke and I having a conversation with angles oftentimes we haven't capped yet, which is sometimes the best angles, the most candid thoughts, the first thoughts, the best thoughts. So Luke, open it up and let's just roll through it.
Yeah, I actually like that point that you just made. It's the beauty of this parlay is we kind of, some of them we cap live, and like the best takes you often get are when you don't overanalyze. Because when you do this daily, like Shark and I do all day, every day, like sometimes you don't want to look at it for hours, and it's what you get live. That's always best. But we also prep, so you get the best of both worlds. Anyways, I'm going to start it off with Lou Dort. It was a little bit of a juicy line, but I actually love him to hit 2 threes tonight. So I have Lou Dort over 1.5 threes for the first play. I think it's juiced at like minus 150, 160, but that's okay. It's a parlay. So we're going to dial it up. I have it projected for 2.3 threes tonight. Huge advantage on a line of 1.5. So that's my first pick. Do you want to bounce back and forth, or should I go one more?
Yeah, go one more. I'm just getting a couple of sports books opened up here.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. This might trend just in case Shark takes Anthony Edwards points in this parlay, because I know he likes it. I'm going to do one that actually correlates with that. I like Anthony Edwards under 5.5 assists. He averaged more than that against OKC earlier this year, but we talked about it. He was uninterested in putting shots up. That's not going to be the mentality tonight. He's going to be a dog and go get it. So I'm going Edwards under 5.5 assists, and I just want to make sure that's the live line.
Yeah, no, just jumping off that, I think that's a fantastic look, because again, we've seen it even in these playoffs. It's rare that he has a great rebound, assist game, and points. It's very much one or the other. If he scores a lot, he does not distribute. He's not as much on the boards. And again, I think it's emotional, it's focused, but it's also just pure physicality and energy. You know, if you're doing all that, like distributing, rebounding. You don't have the energy to score. I think he wants to score. So I think he's going to commit like 80% of his energy to scoring the ball tonight, and that will not be facilitating. And as I said before, both games he played this year in Oklahoma City, just funky environments. I mean, it doesn't get much more funky than New Year's Eve on the road. I mean, like, these kids are 23 years old making $50 million a year. You think that they're like super focused about like the 30th NBA game of the regular season? Like, give me a break.
Right.
I mean,
they're also looking for a chance to take a mental checkout, as they should. Like, it is a grind of a season. Like, if I'm being honest, I love the NBA season, but it does need to be shrunk. It really does. Like, these guys don't get a break. So to your point, I'm sure he was not vibing that random game on a New Year's Eve.
No, and then the second one was the back-to-back where they had competed the hell out of the gym at home, night one, February 23rd. Then they'd go on the road. We were talking about this. I think we were on the show. We definitely talked about it in Telegram, I think with some of the followers, definitely ourselves. I was saying at that point in time, given the competitive nature of these two teams, why did the league put them on a weird back-to-back with travel against each other? A home and home 2 nights in a row? Like, that made absolutely no sense. I still don't understand it. Like, the schedule makers could come on here and try to explain themselves. I don't care what they said to us. We would still say you got it wrong, because that makes no sense. But that all being said, this is a great spot for Edwards to really show up tonight and go over. Let's talk some game lines here. Usually we like to throw a chalk money line in here. Honestly, I don't like the chalk money line tonight. I honestly could see a dub from the Wolves here. Let me see if we got anything else. We could just throw in the spread. I think we can ride the spread. Plus 7.5 now. I have 8.5. Feel free to buy a point if you need to in a parlay. Let's throw Wolves plus 8.5 in there.
Yeah, let's do that. I like it. I know there's people in the chat saying Ant's been going over this assist line. I'm just seeing this lifetime. I don't care. Like, I don't follow trends. Like, it doesn't have to be a trending thing to be a sharp take. Yeah, that's ridden, and his average is ridden way up because last game against the Warriors he had 12. Prior to that, he went under this line in 4 straight games. So like, I don't think that the over is the play here for assists. Yeah, OKC's defense is good, but we don't have to keep talking about it. I think the under is the play there.
Yeah, and also I just want to address a comment here. Our guy Octavio Urbina says, I see Ant getting all the defensive attention, causing him to dish it out. Toronto has been hot. Luke and I were actually talking about this before the show. It's very counterintuitive. It's very like the opposite of what most people think. If they let Ant Edwards go off for 45 points and shut everybody else down,
they'll win.
It's actually easier to let him just go off and keep everybody else at bay. You see this all the time. If you guys actually go through this season and last season, both playoffs and regular season, when players score north of 50 points, like really go off, their teams don't cover. It's not team basketball. It's actually easier if you just let one guy get it all and then nobody else does anything. So really keep that in mind. Let's keep going on this parlay. I mean, it's crazy. We only got one game, so that's kind of all we got. We do like the under. I'm a little wary of this under, as I said, because I think the Thunder might play less defense off that 7-game series. And again, we saw an over just like out of nowhere game 1 against Denver. So I think, truthfully, a little fishy. I'd like to stay away from it. Let's go with a couple more player props. Anything else?
Yeah, no, the only thing I was going to say is we did not – I have his under 5.5 assists. We're not taking another Ant line, right? I don't know. I don't think you can take one guy – can you take one guy multiple stats in a parlay? I should know this by now.
I don't even know.
Let's just stay away from that. We'll just do the assists because you already gave that out as a free play.
Let's attack. I think we should attack the under points on Jaden McDaniels.
I was just going to say, let's get to those T-Wolves unders for the role players because I do like that.
We didn't really go into crazy detail on this, but I do want to just reiterate. We said it at the very beginning of our handicap here. The last 3 times these teams played, Randle and DiVincenzo did not play. And actually, Mike Conley was not in the lineup for, I believe, 2 of the 3 and very limited in the 3rd. So basically, the last 3 times, no Randle, no DiVincenzo, no Conley, which is why Reed, McDaniels, and Alexander Walker averaging 22.5, 18, and 15.3. Like, it has nothing to do with them like dominating the Thunder. They just got a ton of minutes. It's not going to happen tonight. I think Alexander Walker is always a little weird. Like, he could come off the bench and just hit 2 threes.
I was just going to say, that's the one I would stay away from because he just could hit a couple shots and be done. But I liked McDaniels, and I like Naz Reed's under too. So either one of those. You wanted to, what was McDaniels' line? 13.5?
See, that one I think is a fantastic line. He's averaging 18 points per game this year. It's 13.5. That's the best of the 3. I think he finishes somewhere around like 11 or under there. So let's put that one in.
Love it.
I was also looking at our guy, Alex Caruso, to score over. What do you think about that?
I love the way he's been playing, dude. What is his line at for points?
It's getting steamed up now. It's pretty heavy for his standards. 8.5 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he's been not afraid to shoot the 3. He's been getting tons of minutes. He played great defense in the Nuggets series. You saw him guarding Jokic. Like, he literally was effective at times guarding Jokic, which sounds hilarious. But, like, he is such a good perimeter defender. So we could throw that in there. Caruso over 8.5.
Yeah, I got some decent information on this one too. In the previous series, the reason he's on the court is because he's like literally one of the oldest players on the roster for the Thunder. Like, he's like their veteran, literally. They want him on the court for defense, but he can score. I mean, he's a reasonable 3-point shooter. I mean, he played college basketball, A&M. Like, he's got good pedigree. But in the previous series, if he played over 23 minutes, which he basically did every game, I believe 5 out of the 7, averaged 16 points per game. I mean, and that's why his line is coming up. I mean, he didn't average that many points in the regular season. You've never seen lines for him in the 8.5 range. He's always 6.5, 7, 7.5. This is actually like one of those bait lines here on DraftKings too. Over 8.5 is actually plus odds, plus 105. Under is steamed heavily, minus 135. So books trying to bait action on the under, and people will bite on that under. I think it's a really sharp over. Do we have any different lines? I only have a couple of books open here. Do you see any lines that are slightly lower lines? Do we have any 8s or 7.5s anywhere?
I'm just seeing 8.5 now. There's one. Yeah, no, it's every book that I see is 8.5. So
I honestly think he gets double digits tonight. And I think, again, it's based on just playing time. I think he'll play 25 to 30 minutes. He's going to get at least 7 or 8 shots. And just one final point on that. He only played twice against Minnesota this year. On full rest, he scored 11 points. On the back-to-back, he scored 5. So when he was on full rest, he scored the ball. So I think that's a good leg for us. I think he gets double digits.
Okay, I love it. So we're at, is that 5 or 6 picks? I want to get us to at least 6. That's
Not
5.
sure.
All right, let's do one more.
What do we have so far? We have Wolves plus 8.5. We have over on Caruso. We have under McDaniels, and then you gave 2 other ones.
Yeah, I gave Dort over 3s and under assists for Ant-Man. So
Okay.
do you want to, should our last play be, what are you thinking about under for the game or under? I know you don't love under quarter 1 necessarily, but
I don't have a read on this because, again, it's a really short number, but it's getting steamed like crazy. Okay. And I don't usually base my wagers on the market steam, but I do think that there's a little bit of a weirdness because of the dynamic where Minnesota's been off for so long and OKC is coming off the 7 against Denver. So both teams are kind of in an interesting funkiness, which usually leads to lack of defense. And it's kind of like an open run. And then they just kind of figure it out. And then game 2 really starts to like play into more normal expectations. And that's another thing in these series too. You hear this. I mean, you don't hear this from these guys that never faced off in the playoffs, but you hear this from like old OG guys like, LeBron, like Kobe, and they always say this, like particularly in the West Finals, they want to feel each other out. Like this game is going to play differently. Like there might be a lack of defense in this game as they just learn what's going on in game 1. So that being said, I actually think
if there's nothing you can get to, I'd probably fade Jalen Williams. I was all over him in game 7 and he went off. But like prior to that, he was playing horrible basketball. I don't mind fading him at 20.5 points. I feel like you'd have to shoot a lot to get to 21 in a game where, you know the ball's going to be in an SGA's hand. So I don't know. I'm just throwing out one last lean there. I don't mind Jalen Williams under.
You know, one of the fishiest line on the whole board is the Naz Reed under. As I said,
it's such a strong underline.
Unreal. Yeah. Like it keeps going back to my point about Edwards and maybe Randle getting all the offensive work here tonight, because he averaged 22.5 points. That's 4 games too. It's not like he had like one.
Let's roll with it. So I actually like Cico, or whoever's in the chat named CICO. I think it's Chico or Cico. Actually, let's roll with that, because to be honest, I like his under. I have, for the record, I have an under of Naz Reed on my VIP card. Certainly can sign up for VIP as always, but let's do his PRA line. It's such a strong under. It's 17.5. I love it. Let's do that as the last play.
I agree. I mean, again, it's so fishy that his number is sitting at 10.5 after he averaged 22.5 points per game this year. So that's 6, and we'll see if Burns can put it up on the screen. All right, that's 6 legs. Dort over 1.5 threes. That's a great look. The guy chucks threes. He'll have like 7 or 8 attempts. Under Ant assists. Wolves plus 8.5. McDaniels under points. Caruso over points. Naz Reed under 17.5 points. We can take a couple questions. We'll get out of here in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, let's
do some
away. Out of here in 5.
Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
Questions on a Tuesday. I think we got a couple questions starred here. We can start with those. Ground up.
Rudy Goldberg.
Rudy Goldberg.
That's good.
I'm not sure if Gobert would be a fan of that, but we already called out Gobert once on this show, and he proceeded to have his best game of his career. I think you might have just. I was going to say, is Rudy going to go off tonight now because he's watching this show? He clearly is glued to this show. Rudy, we love you. Now he'll play terribly. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about this one?
I'd have to lean over. If you can really get a line of 9 rebounds, I think it's 9.5 on some books. You got to go over here simply because of it seems like there could be a lot of – I just think there's going to be a lot of missed shots from both sides. So while Hartenstein and Holmgren are going to do their best to keep him off the boards, you have to lean over here. You absolutely do.
Yeah, I didn't cap it, so we'll keep it moving.
Plus there were some outlier games where Anthony Edwards had double-digit rebound. There were guys in previous series that were rebounding more than they should have. So, yeah, I lean over.
Shea over 1.5 threes. Did you cap that one?
A little bit. I actually don't love this. It's a sharp line. He's been averaging right at 1.5. But I would side with the under, and the reason being is he's shooting the ball horribly from deep in the playoffs. Look at this. I mean, 25% from 3 in the Grizzlies series, 33% last series, including games of 0 of 5, 1 of 6, 1 of 7 in the Grizzlies series. So he's not shooting it hot. And at the end of the Denver series, you saw him take less attempts. He got up 3 attempts, 4 attempts, 4 attempts. He was looking to attack. He wants to get to the mid-range. He wants to get to the rim. So I actually lean under, but just barely. It's a very sharp line.
Yeah, we talked about this actually in the previous series where Jalen Williams had a line of 1.5. I actually told you guys on that show he's going to go 2 for 5. He went precisely 2 for 5. And this is really where some of these lines, there's just no margin for error here. If you expect this to go under, he basically has to borderline miss every single 3. I mean, it's that tight. So, for
what it's worth, let me try and predict one since you already called one on the spot. I actually think SGA goes 1 for 4 tonight from 3. That's my 1 for 4.
So you think that low of attempts?
I do. I do not think he shoots a lot of threes tonight.
Interesting. See, that's some professional knowledge here from the prop master on a Tuesday. I would not have gotten there. I would have said 1 for 5 or 2 for 6, but what do I know? Anyway, keeping it moving here. We got more questions.
Love it.
Octavio dropping great questions today. What about DiVincenzo over 10.5 points, right? That's got to be points. You already gave a take on this.
Yeah, I like DiVincenzo in every way. I like his PRA. I like his points. The only time he played OKC this season, he only had 10 points, but he had 19 PRA. He was all over assists and rebounds. So my official free plays over PRA, but I think Shark and I both lean over on his points. If you just want to hit 10.5 Octavio, definitely a good look.
Yeah, as we said, we think this game is going to be centered around the players that did not score in the regular season, and it's going to fade Reed, McDaniels, and Alexander Walker. Next one. Wolves team total over 105.5. See, this is where it gets tricky because this is basically like, as I said, a bit of a coin flip on the game flow read. When one team hasn't played in 5 days, the other team's coming off a really tough series. Literally, either team could be terrible or amazing, or both teams could be terrible or amazing. Like this game literally could finish somewhere around like 99-98, or it could finish like you saw in the Denver series, 121-119. The only thing I think about this game is it's going to be a tight game. In terms of the actual points scored, I really don't have a take. Luke, anything here?
No, I was just going to say the same thing. I'm staying away from a team total here because it's too hard to predict the actual game flow and shot making percentage because it's the first game of the series. You said both unique spots, different rest, different team total. Way too hard to predict in this one.
Next question. Raul, what's up, brother? What y'all think about SJ under 31.5? I mean, you looked at the threes. It's got to correlate, right?
It is. I lean under here. Shark and I may disagree because you maybe a little bit on this because you did say the Superstars game, and I do think Ant shoots a lot. I'm not saying SGA doesn't shoot a lot, but the Thunder were really distributing the ball well at the end of the last series. Like SGA averaged 29.7, so he's going to get his. No doubt he's going to score the ball. But I just felt like OKC was distributing really well. To make my point, regular season, SGA averaged 22 field goal attempts per game. Nuggets series, he only shot 19. So 3 less shot attempts per game. So if anything, I lean under, but SGA is going to get his.
Yeah, and I think this is just going to be tight. As I said, superstar game, but again, so centered on Edwards, not SGA. Yeah. I think the Thunder could kind of move the ball around. You talk about Holmgren, you talk about Dort, you talk about all these guys. Honestly, I think it's a tight line. I mean, his season average is like right around this, I believe. I think he's averaging like 32 points per game or something.
Yeah, he's at 32.7, so it's a slight under, but also it's a sharp line. So he's probably going to be – I haven't pegged for like 28, but he gets to the free throw line 10-plus times, so you just never know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we talk about this all year. The best props are generally not the best player in the league or, like, the top 3 guys. Like, they're very well average. And also, rooting against this guy to score is going to be, like, cringe to watch. Like we've said this all year. Like, there's certain bets you make, and you kind of, like, suck the life out of the game for yourself. Like, I understand if you're betting with us and you're taking the Wolves, you want them to be terrible. I get it. But just, like, in terms of the game flow, it's a tough bet to root for in general. But get it, Raul. We're not going to root against you there. Hitman 86, Randle over 19.5 points. Oof,
I don't want to be off the record and just continually saying under. I think Raul, if anything, SGA's under is the sharp side, so that's good news for you. I lean under here too. Randle's simply too hot. Like all of last series, I was saying, like eventually he has to cool off. He truly does. If Shark and I talked about this a little beforehand, OKC should key a little bit more on him and probably let Edwards go and get his. Because if you can shut down Randle and the rest of the T-Wolves, they're going to win the game. OKC will. I simply think Randle has to cool off, and OKC's defense is a lot different than the Warriors. They're just bigger. They're more athletic. So I lean under here, but I also don't love betting against the hottest player in the NBA, and he's the hottest player in the playoffs. So shout out to Randle. Just an insane playoff run so far for a guy who's struggled in the playoffs previously. So shout out, Julius. I am just not getting to his over tonight in any capacity.
Yeah, we talked about it at length here. I think there's a sharp line. He's playing the best ball of his career. You said it. Shout to him. We like to see people succeed. We are succeeding. Another great show. Luke, give him some words. I'll close it out. Simple.
Let's sweep. I have 4 VIP plays tonight in the NBA. I want to sweep them all. If you haven't joined our free picks Telegram thread, I throw up picks in MLB, NBA. I know Shark does the same. But join us. Whether it's free or VIP, we just want you guys with us. Let's dominate today, and let's make a run through the NBA Finals. Book it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys in the chat. Our guy W Man has a great question. Burns, I don't know if you want to put that one on ice for tomorrow. That's another point that it'll be a few minutes, and we want to get going. I know everybody's got all sorts of stuff to do, but we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. 50 minutes on one game. Luke and I mean, the energy we bring, I don't know how we do it. I love to do it. I know Luke loves to do it. And we appreciate you guys connecting not only with the energy, bringing the conversation to us, and really connecting with the way we analyze sports. A bunch of plays today, VIP and free. I'll always say it. Let's dominate. For Jay Cavalier, cashing tickets around the world. The prop master, Luke Shuey. I am the Shark. Stay strong, stay disciplined, stay fast, I should say. I'll say it again. Stay strong, stay fast, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation.